They really are tragedy ghouls. Tragedy ghouls. Meghan Markle, with a camera trained in front of her, crying. But it wasn't a real cry. This is one tear, left eye, go. And this is what I find so grim, using the tragedy of her close friend Kelly McKee Zajfen, who lost her 9-year-old son, George, for good publicity. I mean, I don't think there's anything worse, there's anything lower. But that is absolutely what happened. It is why Harry and Meghan are now being branded tragedy ghouls. And I mean, watch the crying for yourself and see if you think this is real.
Inspired by how you use your voices to lift others, how you move with empathy, and how your compassion sparks passion.
Note she stops the moment the photographer, trained in front of her, turns away. Grim. According to Taz posted on this, how utterly vile to be stood there fake crying with the photographer at your feet to capture the moment. He's not taking pictures of other people at the memorial. He's got his lens solely on Meghan. All she does is perform. They are both gross every camera click. And by the way, just a reminder, if you think I'm being unfair, before she was in the royal family, Meghan did used to boast about how easy it was for her to cry on demand.
We're at Soho House, Toronto, which is basically TIG headquarters for me. I write my stories here, I take my meetings here, and it's kind of amazing because all over the world, if I'm traveling, Soho House can still be home base.
Now make yourself cry.
Yeah. Oh, I can do that so well. Oh my God, it's crazy. You're like, Meghan, one tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds.
One tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds. Well, that's exactly what she did at the weekend. Gross. Gross. And inappropriate. But of course, she also decided to use this event to try and clap back at what have been horrendous reports about the true state of her marriage to Prince Harry. But a lot of people weren't sucked in by their overt display of public affection. Princess Carparkle on this, the Harry and Meghan body language is screaming, "We hate each other," no matter how many times Meghan Markle claims back with "See, he loves me" posts. TikTok, watch that divorce clock. And there was a lot of it this week. I mean, lots of people also questioning whether it was appropriate for Meghan to post this picture of Harry hugging a 12-year-old with the caption, "Our other favourite Lily," even though, of course, her children remained invisible and, as far as we're aware, didn't attend the event. The Royal Grift also pointed something out, which I found quite fascinating, writing Meghan hates Harry on their own GHOUL public charity website. She cuts his face off. And there's the evidence of that. So, Brittany, of the Royal News Network, this was an event.
They really are tragedy ghouls. Meghan Markle, with a photographer crouched at her feet, crying, but not a real cry. One tear, left eye, go, and then, right as the camera turns away, the tears stop. Grim. The outrage isn't about attending a memorial, it's about using a devastating loss. Her close friend Kelly McKee Zajfen's little boy, George, as a backdrop for brand Meghan. Critics called it exactly what it looked like, a performance staged for social, with the shooter's lens fixed on Meghan instead of the memorial. That's not compassion, that's content for the media.
Which, let's be honest, is one of the most tragic circumstances, and it should be all about Kelly McKee Zajfen and Julian Zajfen and the fact that they lost their 9-year-old son. But I guess they want the publicity for the foundation that they're building. And so it's like, let's bring the Harry and Meghan circus in. Let's train the photographer on Meghan so we can capture her crying, which we knew she was going to do. And from Harry and Meghan's point of view, it was, let's shift the narrative again. We've done this appearance in New York where everyone's talking about how miserable we are with each other. So we're going to have to be ultra tactile and put on a show. And this was a show for social media. And I'm sorry, I see right through it. What did you make of it?
I thought the whole thing, Dan, just looks so staged, especially the picture of the two of them together and even the group shot. She is very much leaning away from him at the same time with her arms around him, trying to put distance. And this is because their relationship has to be under a lot of strain here. They have money woes, I'm sure, in some ways. He has family woes. Now, especially with everything around Prince Andrew, their whole future rests on them having royal titles in Hollywood and nothing else. I mean, those tears Meghan's shedding are probably more likely for the potential loss of her title than they are for George. And so they're just there to, of course, get the publicity for publicity's sake. That's it. And her friend Kelly is sort of the same way. The thing is with Meghan, all of her real, you could say, true friends are all grifters like she is. They all grift off each other, and they're more than willing to use each other, to be used if it helps them in some sort of way. And so Kelly is thinking, well, Harry and Meghan, they get my event publicity, so let's go ahead and bring them in. Are they that helpful at the end of the day? Who knows? But I do have to say, Dan, when it came to the picture of Harry sort of bear hugging Kelly's daughter, Lily, I did find that a bit creepy that Meghan posted. I'm just not sure why that needed to be posted. It just felt really odd. And I couldn't also help but think, I guess he's treating her a little bit like his niece, but does Harry spend any time with his actual niece? No. And it just goes to show again that Harry's whole world now must be Meghan. It's all Meghan's friends. It's all Meghan's, connections and these sorts of things. And Harry had to cut off his entire life in order to please his wife.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this was all about trying to say, we've created our own family. But of course, your own children are not there because you have this ongoing weirdness. So they're locked away in the Montecito Palace. It's all very, very bizarre. But look, Brittany, the reason behind this glut of publicity of late has been to flood the zone. That's the strategy that I call it, right? When there is no strategy, when everything is going wrong, just flood the zone and hope that people move on from all of the failures. My reporting on this was really backed up in a brand new piece by Alison Boshoff of the Daily Mail over the weekend. And I want to take you through it, Brittany, because I found it absolutely fascinating. Insane, thoughtless, and directionless. The Sussexes are spiraling. And that was an insider's damning words to Boshoff on Meghan's latest reinvention as they reveal mess and her surprising next move. And Alison Boshoff reported, while I've been told the Duchess is intent on building up her relationship with the venerable Condé Nast magazine and does have a fashion magazine cover in the pipeline, it is not with Vogue. Rather, my sources exclusively tell me Meghan has made a deal to appear on the cover of Harper's Bazaar, published by media giant Hearst. This cover will be a first for Meghan, who made the cover of Vanity Fair while dating Prince Harry, as she is yet to land the attentions of a high fashion magazine. While she guest edited the September 2019 edition of Vogue, she didn't put her own face on the cover. Her meeting with Vogue Supremos Wintour and Chloe Millay, that's the new editor, I can reveal, better viewed as Meghan trying to reset relations. Because as we shall see, there was a falling out between her and the then UK editor Edward Enninful 3 years ago after the Duchess made high-handed demands of him, and it did her few favours with Anna Wintour. While there was much talk of Meghan being pictured with Wintour, few remarked on her appearance at the Balenciaga show with Samir Nasir, the editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar. But it is Harper's which has secured the Meghan scoop. Well-placed insiders tell me the sudden burst of activity, which included an appearance at the Fortune Most Powerful Women event in Washington this week, doesn't quite indicate anything thought through. The source said her PR team are just putting her out there in a hopeful way without a plan. They aren't being discerning and protecting her from herself. It seems they think every media opportunity is a good one, and that's insane. There is no strategy here. It is thoughtless and directionless. One day she's in Paris at the fashion show, positioning herself in that world, and then she shows up in Washington with Fortune magazine and wants to be regarded as a female founder, but she's got nothing to launch, nothing to announce, nothing to say. It's a mess. The Sussexes seem to be spiraling. They are throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. I don't understand why she would do a magazine cover when she has nothing coming out. It is evident that either she isn't being advised properly or else she isn't listening. Honestly, whoever is in charge shouldn't even be putting this stuff in front of her to protect her from herself. That assessment may strike some as harsh, but the development of a coherent brand identity for Meghan, vital for success in this competitive, influence-driven market, is shaky to say the least. There is some confusion about whether Meghan is selling herself as a cozy jam-making domestic goddess, a ball-breaking corporate genius, or a sleek fashionista. And dangerously, without a product to sell and a branding direction to pursue, any publicity she engages in looks rather like publicity for publicity's sake. The obvious dissonance between Meghan seeking this kind of attention and her husband Prince Harry's desire for privacy hardly need to be laboured. And Brittany, I thought this just summed up the situation of what is going on with Meghan's career perfectly. It is insane, it is directionless, and there is no strategy behind it whatsoever.
Here's why the internet didn't buy it. Meghan herself once bragged she can cry on cue, 1 tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds. And that's precisely the frame we got at the memorial. A single cinematic tear, perfectly composed, conveniently captured. The moment it wasn't being captured, waterworks over. This isn't empathy. It's theater. Real grief is messy and silent. Performative grief is framed, lit, and posted.
It makes complete sense, Dan, because it's something I've been thinking about as well. It's like, what is Meghan's public identity? I'm not really even sure. I'm not even sure if she likes her brand because she doesn't use any of her own products. And when it came to sort of these last couple of weeks, it almost feels like I sort of call it content vomit. Just like everything is just spewed out at once without a thought, without a strategy, without sort of an identity. And the whole thing with a good PR strategy is that you're promoting something specific or you're crafting something specific when it comes to the identity of whoever you're representing. And it just doesn't seem like Meghan, goes to Fortune and basically shares the same 6 talking points that she shared in Bloomberg on Emma Grede. Like, she has no new things that she's saying at this point. So it's like, why even bring her out there? Why not coach her and Harry, who I both think have their faults when it comes to interviews? Why not coach them to better represent themselves? And the only answer I can think of, and which explains sort of all of this, is that what Harry and Meghan do is hire yes men. They hire people who will just give them everything. They say yes to it, they set it up, and they don't listen to any concrete advice. Because I'm not a PR professional, but even I know this is just a bad move. Meghan needs a hard reset, which means actually going away and actually figuring out who she is and then rebranding, rather than rebranding every 5 seconds when the last thing fails. And it's like, well, we need to do it again and again. She's not taking any lessons. She's not learning anything. She's just a mess.
Totally. But it's the flood the zone strategy. The only thing she went away for was to get the facelift, and now she's back, and so we're seeing her constantly and consistently. Most recently last week in terms of career at this vegan dinner party hosted by Emma Grede of Kardashian fame, of podcast fame. And this dinner, Brittany, I mean, it's getting a huge amount of criticism. William Sitwell in the Daily Telegraph writing, "Congrats, Meghan. You helped create the worst dinner party in history." And he said a women-only vegan banquet attended by the Duchess of Sussex was a lesson in self-congratulatory vain adoration. And I mean, it was vain adoration that you saw during Emma Grede's speech. Watch this, Brittany.
And say hi, so thank you. Now listen, everybody, just a huge thank you to everyone who is in this room, because I will tell you, it is the most incredible group of women. There are women here that are building amazing. I can do it. You know I can do it. Okay, so first things first, just a huge thank you to everyone who is in this room, because I will tell you, it is the most incredible group of women. There are women here that are building incredible businesses. There are those of you that are raising a lot of money, are trying to raise a lot of money, have tried to raise a lot of money, that are doing just the most extraordinary things. And between that, you're doing everything else.
Oh, God. Well, William Sitwell wrote, I think I may have witnessed the ghastliest, most grotesque, most vulgar, most shallow, most revolting, most tasteless, most vacuous, and most vainglorious dinner party in history. In short, the worst. I wasn't there, thankfully. I couldn't be. For a start, I'm a man, and that ruled me out straight away. But even if I had been invited, Los Angeles isn't particularly convenient for a midweek feed. But I could lap up the atmosphere, get a feel for the food, the wine company, and hear the speeches because it was all there on social media. And like a gory car crash, I couldn't stop craning my neck and having a good gawp. But Brittany, this felt like an opportunity for Meghan Markle, as Nancy Sidley pointed out, to get close to Ted Sarandos's wife, arguably the most important person in her life. But again, this seemed to me like a real sign of her falling star. Because while people tried to suggest that this was a star-studded event, there really were not household names in attendance, Brittany.
No, it's people who are, you could say, up and coming, kind of like Meghan Markle, who has a business that is definitely, I would argue, probably failing already pretty miserably and is not moving very well. But the assessment there from the Daily Telegraph is definitely something that I've been talking about for a long time, which is that Meghan Markle is shallow, vain, and vapid. She tries to mask herself in all of these sorts of like deep thoughts and soliloquies and all these sorts of things. But at the end of the day, Meghan Markle is a bare bones basic influencer, just with title attached. And she's not even as good as a lot of other influencers out there. And Meghan Markle needs these sort of events to fill her inner self with validation. Rather than achieving things, she needs to talk about it. She needs to go to meals to talk about it, these sorts of things, rather than actually working hard in her business to make it successful. And if this whole event is more about networking and everything, obviously with Ted Sarandos' wife there, she has that Netflix connection that she can constantly go, hey, don't forget about us at Netflix, you know, season 3 of With Love Meghan, the public wants it, right? No, nobody wants it. And she's trying to maybe even gain some money for the business because it's failing, or advice for the business because it's failing. I'm not sure which direction Meghan Markle is going to go in, but she certainly can't probably invest too much in somebody else. But Meghan loves these sorts of things because this is the shallow, vain, and vapid world of Hollywood, and that is who Meghan is. She's not any deeper than she seems to portray herself to be. This is who Meghan is, and she proves again and again why she was completely unsuited for royal life.
Indeed, and the thing is, Brittany, everyone's got to be so careful around her because the opportunity for Meghan to fall out with you when you're trying so hard to stay on side is constant. And the most recent to suffer this fate, believe it or not, is Daniel Martin. Now, Daniel Martin, come on, like, this guy is like Meghan's absolute defender on earth. He is the uber camp, uber gay makeup artist who thinks Meghan cannot put a foot wrong. But she was furious with him for going public with a behind the scenes video of their Paris outing where her makeup had actually really been criticized. And Rob Shooter has now reported that Meghan Markle demanded that Martin delete the video and said the order came straight from the top. And he writes, when Meghan Markle says delete, you delete. Shooter Scoop has learned that Daniel Martin, Meghan's close friend and longtime makeup artist, was ordered to remove a behind-the-scenes Instagram video after it caught the Duchess's attention for all the wrong reasons. The reel showed Martin creating Meghan's Balenciaga look for Paris Fashion Week, calling her skin juicy and glowy, and teasing, Meghan, if you're watching this, let's do a lip. Within hours, it vanished. The order came straight from the top, one insider tells Shooter Scoop. Meghan saw it as a breach of trust. She doesn't want anyone revealing her routines or travel details without approval. The Duchess, who runs her image like a luxury brand, reportedly felt Martin overstepped. She's extremely protective of her mystique, says a palace-adjacent source. Everything about her public appearance is curated. She expects full control. Insiders say Martin was devastated and has kept a low profile since. He adores Meghan, a friend notes, but he learned the hard way. Discretion isn't optional. As one Hollywood insider puts it, Meghan may have left the monarchy, but she still rules her circle like a queen. Her image isn't just guarded, it's law.
After that painfully awkward New York outing where their body language screamed frost, the pair swung to over-the-top PDA, but even the hug montages felt like a clapback. Not a couple. Commenters clocked it. Strained smiles, stiff shoulders, hands placed for the camera, not each other. Then came Meghan's upload of Harry, bear-hugging a 12-year-old with the caption, "Our other favorite Lily. Why are other people's children public-facing props while their two remain perpetually invisible?" And on their own Archwell site, Meghan's crop choices literally slice Harry's face out of frame. Symbolism you couldn't storyboard better.
And I mean, Brittany, I think we've learned that, haven't we, over time? But what was so shocking in this case is that Daniel Martin tried to save face by briefing to Richard Eden of the Daily Mail that he'd just left out some of the names of the products and that he was going to repost. But it never saw the light of day. So that was, again, just rubbish.
It was. And I thought it was really funny that Meghan wants to keep her mystique. And I'm like, what mystique? You tell us everything. There's no mystique there at all. Catherine has mystique. But when it comes to Meghan's relationship with Daniel, sort of the big thing, Dan, that I think maybe Daniel is forgetting is that he's technically hired help. They may be friends, but I think it's best to use that term rather loosely because he is technically there to do a job for Meghan. And so because of that, she has sort of a hierarchy there where she, in her mind, is more important than he is. And their friendship is about him serving her rather than her supporting him. So in that instance, when he did something without her permission, of course she was upset because she couldn't control it. And he, as let's say the pawn in the system, made a move without her approval. And that just can't happen in Meghan land. And to be fair as well, I honestly don't think, at least from what we've seen of what Meghan asks of Daniel, I don't see very much to be impressed by because Meghan pretty much looked ill in Paris. She did not look ill. She looked old, actually, quite gaunt. So she did not look her best in Paris at all, neither on her wedding day either, with that no makeup that just didn't pop at all. So I think their relationship probably definitely is maybe a little bit strained and suffering. I mean, he was the only one of her friends who was on 2 episodes with Meghan, 1 in each season, and he was really boring on screen. I'm not even sure why he was there, to be honest. But it's just a reminder, I think, of Meghan's view of the world, which is that people are there to serve her. And if they have their own interests, unless it aligns with hers, she is more than willing to put her foot down and tell them no, even if he is a close friend, maybe trying to, let's say, promote his own profile. Meghan doesn't care because he's there to serve her, not the other way around.
Brittany, the other thing I'm loving, right, is people using Meghan's own words on the Fortune Powerful Women stage to prove once again that she was lying. This was how she really spent those years at home, Brittany. Watch.
People's assumption that if I was going to go into business, it would be fashion or beauty. But those 5 years at home, I wasn't running around wearing beautiful outfits. I was probably in Birkenstocks and sweats like the rest of us, especially during COVID, or just barefoot at home.
So my family had just moved to California. We were staying in our friend's home. And because it was the pandemic, I kept ordering boxed hair dye. And I thought, I'm going to look just like she does on the box. And instead, it was this very inky, almost Elvira-esque black hair.
Brittany, she really thinks we're stupid, doesn't she?
She does. And the funny thing is that there's actually a yellow dress for Archie's first birthday there that you see. It's a Carolina Herrera, like $4,000 sack dress. So there's no way she was walking around her house in Birkenstocks. And why would you wear a wildly expensive dress just to do like a video thing of you and your husband with your son for his first birthday when he's supposed to smash the cake and get it everywhere? It's just a complete and total lie. And we all knew it was, of course, 150%, but it's just another reminder. I mean, it's great to go through and look at all this stuff and look at how Meghan actually, she says one thing and she always does another. And this has been her problem from the jump. She just can't seem to understand that if you're going to say something, you need to actually live it or be it or what have you. And she just doesn't seem to get that. I think she constantly rewrites history in her own mind. And this is why she's constantly caught flat-footed, that she's constantly called out for various lies and half-truths that she tells, is because she just can't seem to have this basis in reality. She's constantly having to reframe things to fit the narrative to make sense in that moment. And it always goes sideways for her. It's very obnoxious, I think, and very disingenuous. And Meghan, of course, doesn't really have an authentic bone in her body, and she proves that point all the time.
Oh, yes, she does. Oh, yes, she does. But won't it be nice, Brittany, that at least at some point we will be able to celebrate it's just Meghan Markle, right? And all of this Meghan Sussex, Duchess of Sussex, secretly writing HRH in her little calligraphy. All of that's going to go. And I think actually if there's one thing that we should just be celebrating at the moment, it's that, because she deserves that. And we now know a King William will make it happen. Hopefully the pressure of King William saying he'll make it happen might even prompt Charles into earlier action. And I think that will be great, because the fact is, Brittany, all of these stunts are constantly, I think, damaging the British royal family. And so there needs to be that very clear cut.
When there's no strategy, you flood the zone. That's what we're seeing. Sudden power woman panels with the same 6 talking points, a fashion girl pivot one day, a cozy domestic goddess vibe the next, then a whisper about a glossy cover, all with nothing substantive to launch. Sprinkle in a vegan girl boss dinner heavy on mutual adoration and light on achievement. It's vanity networking masquerading as purpose. And that's why the stage tear hit a nerve. It wasn't just tone deaf, it was on brand. Titles slipping, projects stalling, narrative wobbling. So you grab the loudest thing in the room, somebody else's tragedy, and you sell a feeling. Sorry, but the public can spot a manufactured moment a mile off.
There does. I think Charles should make it abundantly clear. And think about it as well. It should not be in regards to a title or security or any reason why Harry has a relationship with his father. He should have a relationship with his father because he wants to, not so he can get something out of it. And I think the sooner Charles wakes up to the reality that right now at this point in Harry's life, he just wants something from his father, and it doesn't have anything to do with that parental connection. Charles should say, and let's go ahead and remove all basis for your complaint. You're no longer a prince. You're no longer in the line of succession. Well, shouldn't you want to have a relationship with me then? That is the true test for Harry, I think. And I think Harry will sadly fail because he should be bringing his kids back to the UK now to see his father, but he's dragging his feet. He's allowing his wife, I think, in many ways to dictate far too much of his life. And the result is that he will be a man who lives with a lot of regrets. I'm sure he already lives with some when it comes to his grandparents, and he will live with his father as well. And that was Harry's choice, Stan. That was the choice Harry made with Meghan Markle.
He was warned time and again. He was warned, and one day he will have massive regrets without any doubt. But we won't forget. Actually, we won't forget, because it's becoming pretty sick, actually. When you think you do that to your grandmother in her dying days, you do that to your grandfather in his dying days, now you do it to your dad in his dying days. You will never learn. It really is sick and twisted. But Brittany, from the Royal News Network. So brilliant to have you today on a massive one for the British royal family. And of course, for full coverage of royal families across the globe, make sure you subscribe to RNN, the Royal News Network, on YouTube. And of course, X as well. Brittany, thank you so much.
If you're done with performative PR and hungry for the unvarnished truth, you're in the right place. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, and drop your take below. Real empathy or weaponized optics?